re ke tsaya nako le matsapa ke go amogele thulaganyo ke Soweto today, and I'm your host Refilwe Waga Motsebi, coming to you all the way from Menlyn, Maine in Pretoria. Gompieno mo gore tlo buisana le ba bang ba the representative ba leng gore they are working so hard to try and make sure that we curb this violence against women and children, which is what we're focusing on. Gompieno mo thulaganyo, violence is a very sensitive issue, particularly against women and children. And this year marks the 19th anniversary of the 16 Days of Activism for no violence against women and children. Right? There's different types of abuse, femicide as well, which is really a concern. 1 in 5 women in South Africa ba abusiwa kgotsa ba bolaiwa ke di partnera tsa bona. So we tla be re tshotla kgang eo gompieno, and also look at how we can seek interventions and how we can seek protection for this violence that is really perpetrated on our women and children. All right, now speaking of interventions that are perpetrated, that we're going to be looking at, I've got a gentleman who's going to be joining me just after the ad break. He is actually the chairperson of Gauteng Men's Sector. His name is Sechaba Rantako. There's a phenomenal movement that has just been launched. It's called #NoExcuse. It's basically men coming together saying that, I don't want to be part of the statistics. I don't really abuse my woman. I don't abuse my child, but it doesn't mean that I cannot take responsibility and protect other women out there. So it was recently launched, and I've got an insert that my team actually put together of that particular launch. Have a look. We'll be right back.
Encouraging men to speak out and tackle the scourge of women abuse ahead of the 16 days of activism against women and children.
The reality is that we fully understand that there is a connection between men that abuse alcohol and some men that commit some of these abuse acts towards women. And what we want to do is we want to be part of the solution. We're leaning into this issue. We want to be part of the solution. And what we want to tell people and tell men is that you cannot use alcohol, the alcohol in our beers, as an excuse to abuse women.
SAB teaming up with Takwani Rime to drive the conversation amongst men.
We will be educating our Smarter Drinking Squad with tools, and we're developing that material alongside with Takwani Rima. And it's really about educating people to understand responsible drinking, as well as understand what kind of tools they can use to make a difference.
While alcohol has been attributed to the behavior of men, SAB says this campaign will see 1,000 young people converge to different taverns to educate men on behavior.
Remember, abuse against women is not something that is bound by economics. It's not just the low-income consumer. It is across our society, and you saw some of those examples that I shared with you. And so they will talk, our ambassadors will deal with it at a much more national level. However, we have partnered up, or we are engaging with community radio stations that will have conversations in the middle of communities.
Minister of Women in the Presidency, Susan Shabangu, says this campaign cannot be for men only. Communities need to get involved, adding that the fight may not be won if perpetrators are not reached.
We will not succeed if we don't reach out to perpetrators, because they are part of us. They are part of our society. They are our neighbors. So we've got to assist them. We've got to help them to come out. We've got to make sure that they get help.
Blessed are those who forgive.
I don't want to involve myself in the situation.
What about my kids? I don't want them to grow up without a father.
There is no excuse for woman abuse.
Champion men take action. Join us at noexcusesa.com.
Very interesting initiative, if you ask me. We know that there are so many other more initiatives that have been done, and also by government, to try and really curb this challenge that we have, women and children abuse. We'll have to see how that one goes, but we'll chat to, obviously, that representative from Gauteng Men's Sector Chairperson, Sechaba Rantako, about that initiative later. All right, 16 days of activism against women and children abuse. 25th November to 10th of December. Very 16 crucial days in South Africa that we really have to, watch. Now, I know the theme for this year, for 2017, is Count Me In, Together, Moving a Non-Violent South Africa Forward. So the question is, do you want to be counted in? Well, I hope so. We chat to Chaba when you come back from the break. Stay tuned. And welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Soweto today with myself, 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children. I did promise earlier that Gauteng Men's Sector Chairperson and Sechaba Rantako is joining us. They just launched a phenomenal movement, hashtag no excuse. They're saying enough is enough. And in South Africa, 1 in 2 women are actually victims of abuse, which is really, really sad. So he's here joining us to let us know what this movement is all about and what his role is within the movement. And Dr. Rantako, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm not so good, since we are, experiencing some high levels of abuse in South Africa. Hey?
Yes, definitely we are having disturbing statistics. 1 out of 2 women are abused on daily basis. Those are disturbing statistics.
Yeah, indeed. Your role, you are the chairperson, Gauteng Men's Sector. What is Gauteng Men's Sector? What is it all about?
Gauteng Men's Sector is a structure that has been developed by the government through the National Strategic Plan on HIV and AIDS, STI and TB.
Okay.
The intention of the strategy is to involve everybody in response to HIV and AIDS.
Yeah. Let's talk about your role, when it comes to the hashtag no excuse movement in particular.
SANAC has 18 sectors, and one of the sectors is the men's sector. Now, as a men's sector, our role is to rally and mobilize men in response to HIV and AIDS, STI, and other social problems that are causing HIV and AIDS or vulnerability around women and HIV and AIDS.
I know that Carling Black Label is also one of the supporters of this movement. Who else is involved?
As a men's sector, we came with an idea, a notion of developing or designing a campaign. The campaign is called Tikuwane Rime, meaning all people should stand up together against violence against women and children.
Yeah.
But also men are also abused, but the majority of people that are abused or vulnerable are women and children. So we say we should stand up together, and then we need partners, and NBEV came handy in becoming one of their partners, hence the No Excuse campaign.
Now, you've got a huge, beer brand, Carling Black Label, involved in this. I mean, what is their role? Because we know that alcohol is, the lead when it comes to, abuse. People consume alcohol, and when they are, highly intoxicated, that's when the problem starts.
I think the intention is also to remove that myth that when people are drunk, alcohol is the driver of women
Is it not?
of abuse. I think people are taking advantage to say, I was drunk, therefore I couldn't see what I was doing. I don't think it's true. People should start taking responsibility, drink responsibly. That is the intention of the campaign, to encourage people to drink responsibly, because they are using alcohol as an excuse for the abuse of women and children. So that should come to an end. We are saying, let us send positive messages so that we can also have people who are drinking responsibly.
What is different? What is it that's different about this movement? Because we've had so many movements. You know, a lot of organizations have come forward saying enough isn't enough about abuse, and you know, government has been trying to come up with more initiatives. What do you think is different about this one, and how can we, improve one day at a time?
This one is the movement that is developed or organized by men, for men, by men. So with others, you'll find that it's a certain department somewhere or a certain individual somewhere. Now, this is a collective effort from the men's sector and all men organizations and forum around South Africa. So it is a men initiative, but it is not a closed initiative. All people who want to support this are welcome, even women, children, and any other person who feel the LGBTI community and all sectors of society are welcome to join this movement.
Yeah, I'm aware that I saw during your launch, you have ambassadors that you introduced. I think Robert Marawa, the likes of DJ Fresh. I mean, let's look at Matthew Booth. Let's look at the angle of using, I'll say, celebrities as the face or as ambassadors. Do you think their influence will help? Why not use an ordinary man from Soweto or ordinary young man from Soweto?
I think the approach is twofold. We use both the celebrities because there are people who believe in celebrities. And communication is such that people change when those that they believe in change. When the message is brought by those, even if a person is a role model within his particular, within his community, people, when it is a role model that says, let's change, people will change. If it's your father, your role model is your father, people will change. If your role model is your mother and is talking about this abuse as something that is not acceptable within the community or society, people will definitely change. People change when those that they believe in change.
I mean, they are quite influential individuals, but also they are not perfect human beings. I mean, we read stories about them sometimes on the media, and you question, you're like, all right, so if this person is going to be used as the face, whereas this is what we're reading, isn't it contradictory?
Nobody's perfect. We are human beings. You find pastors. There's a pastor who's incarcerated because it was believed that he's been molesting young girls. You see, nobody is perfect. Even pastors are not perfect. So we are not a perfect society, but what we are trying to say is that let us mitigate that up until such time we have this perfect society that will be free of gender-based violence. That is why we are also advocating for national strategic plan on gender-based violence. So I think that if we are advocating for such thing, we'll be able to win our battle.
And also some stories are alleged. We cannot really believe everything that we read.
Definitely.
Have you visited schools, to spread the word?
Yeah, we've been visiting schools and...
Where in particular? Which areas?
I'm the director of an organization called SAMAK. We've been doing camps now lately with learners in Ekurhuleni. So it's not only us, with other stakeholders within the men's sectors, they're also doing that.
Yeah, lovely. And the response, how's it been?
Very, 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 very encouraging, and learners are really keen to participate in these activities.
Fantastic. Well, is there any, because I know that the hashtag No Excuse was also trending, is there any, can we follow on Twitter? Can we still use the hashtag? How do we go about being part of this movement?
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter and other social media platforms.
Yeah, using, of course, hashtag No Excuse.
There's hashtag No Excuse, hashtag TQ1Rime, hashtag Men's March, yes.
Lovely.
Hashtag No Gender-Based Violence.
Right. Let's get your message quickly, to men who are watching the show right now, women as well who are being abused and they're doing nothing about it,
I'm saying let us stop being cowards. Let us make sure that we stop to be bystanders and take an initiative of making sure that we don't accept these horrendous activities that are happening in our country.
I know that you also host like men marches. We don't see a lot of that happening a lot. Do you think men marches really help, and do these men really partake in these marches?
Definitely. Marches are part of our program. We do have marches, but not all marches are covered by the media or the mainstream media. So we do have marches, and they also assist in that they send a message to people that are directed to. And also, it is also a rallying point for men to come together, to provide a private space for men and the members of the community to really talk about this, continuously talk about this scourge of gender-based violence.
So, you know, it doesn't mean you don't abuse your woman or your wife and you don't abuse children. It doesn't mean that you should not take a stand or take responsibility and support, you know, women who are being abused. So let's get it going. Let's get it changing. Let's change this whole, you know, I call it stupidity, really. Violence is just so annoying. Hashtag no excuse on Twitter. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
A warm welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Soweto today with myself, Refilo Wagamuzere, 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children abuse. If you missed it earlier on, just before the ad break, Gauteng Men's Sector Chairperson some of the marches that they do conduct in the country to say enough is enough with abuse against women and children. And I know that there was a march that took place in Cape Town where the hashtag No Excuse team and some of the representatives and the ambassadors came together to say enough is enough, and they actually marched against the abuse of women and children. And our team actually went there to capture the moment as it happened. Have a look.
We are here today. We're really excited about being here today because we launched a movement. We launched a movement on the 13th of November, the No Excuse movement. The idea behind this movement is about challenging men and corporate South Africa to come forward and take a stand against gender-based violence. We do not want to be bystanders. We do not want to turn a blind eye to the scourge that is happening in our country. We have a plan that spans over 5 years, and we have multiple activities in the market. There's a television ad that we launched recently. We've got some interventions in taverns, and we are here today to support our partners, Takwan Merime, and the idea is that we march, you know, to Parliament today, where we hand over a memorandum, a man's memorandum. So yes, we look forward to today, and we look forward to all the activities that we have planned.
I am here because I'm coming to support the march that has been organized through Takuwane Riime, which is sort of like a cover, an overarching body that is aimed at, you know, dealing with men's issues. I'm here also representing AfriMen Rising, which is a campaign that I started in July at TUT in Garankuwa. And basically, I mean, you know, I think this is just to make sure that we just keep on creating this awareness, you know, against gender-based violence, and hoping that, you know, gradually it will just register in a lot of men's minds and hearts, so that we find a way of creating a better society. Because if we as men don't stand up and be exemplary, you know, the whole country is going to be a mess.
I think today was a great start. I think it's a great start to get some sort of momentum going with regards to this very serious issue of general women and child abuse. I think it was also great that a lot of other NGOs and organizations came under one umbrella for today. And I think that's something which we can take forward as well, because I find that there are too many MPOs scattered around the country, and I think it's important for us to get together under one umbrella and push in the same direction. So it was nice to see so many MPOs, NGOs here today. Very promising, and my message, I think, for today, for the people who came to attend, was the fact that they have to own their own private space first and foremost. Act in the right way. Men can't afford to be bullies. They create far too much harm when they do. And I think, as the hashtag says, no excuses, we can't make excuses anymore. You can't blame alcohol anymore for your actions. You can't blame a miniskirt for your lust.
I-memorandum yethu akusi-memorandum of complaints. Basizanga la eParliament uzocomplaina thina. Besiphethe i-2-page ye-commitment to say, as men of this country, this is what we are going to do. So we were not here to ask to say, government, please babysit us. We don't want anyone to babysit men in this country. Was the only thing as ikhuluma is nasit singamadoda we are prepared to engage each other. Sikhuzane uma ngabe omunye enza okuwrong. Siqale befundisini abefundisi bangasabu exposure i-sexual violence against women emasontweni. Umfundisi angafihli crime athi isonto lami lizohlazeka. Asikho kulo business thina yokufihla i-criminals. We're going to deal with criminals the way thina siyibhale ngakhona, but soqale sibafundisa abantu abangobaba, sifundisane so that by the time sikukhuza besikufundisile qala. That's the agenda. That is why sisithi no excuse. Senzela ukuthi even if you are drunk ungasebenzisi utywala as an excuse, because we planned that thing usober. So asispa iskelem sokuthi umuntu acommit crime adis because being drunk. No, asispa leso skelem, unfortunately. Kulena i-campaign sithi no excuse.
Campaign is self-explanatory. When you say to someone no excuse, then you start to wonder no excuse about what. And when I was asked to come and be a part of it, it made sense to me, because you hear so many cases of people being involved in domestic violence and then they make an excuse. I was too drunk, or she tempted me, she wore a miniskirt, or I felt the right to bang delela, and all of those things. You are making excuses. You can call me names, but it doesn't mean that I must retaliate violently. And if you are going to be able to drive those messages, it then becomes our role to make sure that the general public, whether it's via social media campaigns, whether it's via marches like we've had today, where we physically come out and plead with the people, we put together the memorandum, which is very worded. It's a long memorandum, but people need to go out and read it and see what the basic message is. It's not just about marching and filling up a street and calling on civil society to be a part of it. For me, no excuses make sense, and the fact that it's going to be a campaign that runs for about 5 years or more, means that the message will be drummed into society.
Wow, I feel a little bit, proud and a little bit safe to know that there are some men out there who are saying enough is enough with violence against women and children. I have to say that a big well done to the Soweto Today team for covering that march as it happened. Remember, the theme for this year's 16 Days of Activism for No Violence Against Women and Children is Count Me In, Together Moving in Non-Violent South Africa Forward. There's also a hashtag. You can actually log on to Twitter, hashtag 365 days of activism. Remember, we're not saying it's only the 16 days where we have to be really cognizant and be aware of this gruesome behavior, but we're saying it's 365 days, all right? There is no excuse. Hashtag no excuse. Enough is enough with the violence. That brings us to the end of tonight's episode. Thulaganyo Soweto Today with myself, Refilo Wagamutse. For myself and the rest of the team, you can actually keep the conversation going on Twitter, Refilo Mutse1, and Facebook, Refilo Mutse. I'm also on Instagram, Refilo Mutse. Have a good night. Thank you for watching. Remember to stay on Soweto TV.